Chairman Adair?
Here.
Mr. Allett?
Here.
Ms. Carpenets?
Here.
Mr. McLaughlin?
Here.
Mr. O'Neill?
Here.
Mr. Vinemski?
Here.
Mr. Flores? Mr. Alvarez?
Here.
Mr. Daniels?
Here.
So I'll move that, Mr. Flores, court has excused. Next, pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item, someone would like to approve, move for the approval of the minutes of the April 17th meeting.
I'll move.
Second.
Any corrections? I have one. Under adjourn, we have, the planning board. Can you change that to board of adjustment? It's been moved and second that we accept the, amended, minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolutions. Talking to Cliff, we just want to, push these over to next month. Right, Cliff?
We have some questions as to, especially with West Cliff. We have to settle the formula resolution because the resolution I drafted and the resolution I think the applicant thought was going to get are two different things. And, it responded to me with, some, I don't wanna, it was not, unkind or anything, but we clearly don't agree on things. That issue of the easement, as I think everybody would have expected, is an issue because, they need to get things worked out with that, and they don't have I don't think we see things eye to eye on that. And so, you recall, I got this out to you, and I was very careful in connection with that, with that language. It literally comes right out of the record, but they don't seem to concur. So, so I don't think we should adopt the resolution now. They've made some comments, they've asked me to review them, and I didn't think it was appropriate to be rushing that thing in after putting so much work into it. So I think it should be carried. The same thing is kind of applicable with respect to the other one. A little different. I'm a little bit, it would be my recommendation that we carry it to the June meeting.
Why are we talking about this now and not last month?
Because it just came in this month. Just came in
Yeah, but when was the hearing?
last month.
Was it last month or February?
Yeah.
Well, it was
2 months
actually
ago?
in February and March. They weren't on the agenda for last month.
No, I'm just wondering, we're talking about something that's kind of like, if they were in February and March, I think this is May, last time I checked. Why weren't we talking about this in April? And the reason I'm asking that question is these resolutions are critical to people. It affects funding, it affects building permits, there's a ripple effect on these things. And I'm just asking, I'm not being critical, I'm just asking the question. We want things to be fluid and to keep moving.
Well, we are getting them out, actually, we're getting them out, I think, about as quickly as we can. We have, we do get some feedback on resolutions that isn't always favorable. Not in terms of whether they're good or not, but because whether our recollection of the facts based in the record is what the applicant agrees with, or whether the conditions are agreeable to the applicant.
That's exactly my question.
So we have to settle the resolution.
That's exactly my question. I'm old and gray. Thinking back 2 or 3 months is harder than thinking back 1 month. And I'm just asking, why isn't it more fluid? Or should we?
Sometimes they agree to things. I think we have applicants who sometimes agree to things that when they're seen in the light of day, they don't concur with.
I get that. I'm just wondering why we didn't talk about this last month. When did they see the light of day?
I don't know, I've been sitting down with Brian, and Bernie on some of these applications, or some of the things that happened. And it seems like it's a new paradigm with the applicant. We sit, we have our hearing, we talk, we listen, go through Mike's report, we go through Cliff's recommendations, okay, we'll do it. And then they come back, oh, we never agreed to this, or I don't wanna do that, just straight up, I don't wanna do that. We all remember the hospital. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's what seems to be happening more and more, and Bernie
Yeah.
is seeing it too.
I'm agreeing with you. That's why if we could get,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
if we could get these things to us on a more timely basis, my recollection might be better.
More timely basis. If they get kicked back,
Well, if they get,
kicked back.
well, when they get kicked back, maybe we should know about it.
Not necessarily, if it's something where,
I don't know, I think we're the board. We ought to, all right, I'll shut up because I'm always a troublemaker. But I'd like things to be done fast and
we
get,
do them very,
well, we do it at government height.
we do them very fast and we do them well.
I know we do them
That's the
well.
key.
That's well, but
That's the key.
I'm just,
I don't wanna get into a discussion over whether, we're doing sloppy work or
I
something.
didn't say that, Cliff.
Well, I know, but I'm
Okay. We,
a little concerned about the inference there.
we do it very well, and you think back, in over 50 years, this board has only lost one appeal. And
I know that. I've been here almost that long.
Huh?
I've been here almost that long. I know that.
And the other one we're court on, and I expect we're gonna be able to, I expect we're in decent shape with that.
I suspect we are too.
I'm prepared that way.
I agree with you. And I'm not complaining about the quality of the work. I'm just saying if we got them a little faster, an old guy like me might remember the hearing better. That's all I'm saying.
So, Cliff, can I make a comment? When I look at the transcripts are what they agreed to, correct? In a meeting.
They can't agree to something, they can't ask for something that isn't in the transcript.
Right.
So when you get the pushback on that, you can't do anything arbitrarily. I guess it would have to come back to us as a board to review or change.
Well, we're already doing, yes and no. I mean, if it's annotation or if it's something, the text of language, what I sometimes do is I change it and then I send it back to you. Something along the lines, other times, yes, if there's a dispute, we may have to have them come in and settle the form of the resolution. Sometimes it goes to court.
Yeah.
I try to avoid all that because I make it clear to the applicant that I don't put anything in there that isn't in the record, and I won't put anything in there that isn't in the record.
Right.
And you can see, I fold in all the materials and documents and reports, so they're aware. I candidly don't think that we get, I do think we get buyer's remorse. I think they get the resolution and they're panicked. I have to do all this, yes. We're just dealing with one, I know that, I got feedback today on one, where the applicant is basically the same professionals are asking us to essentially waive one of the conditions. My response was, go to the board. And we already settled the form of the resolution. Don't come back and tell me you don't want to do something that you already agreed to. Now, in this particular situation, the applicants are not agreeable to what I put in, so I'm gonna deal with it appropriately, and, I guess I just wanna make sure that it's understood. I usually don't respond like this, but I think it's important to know that the reason you get these is because we hold them to a high standard.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that they're the ones that are pushing back and slowing it down and not us.
I think they are. I believe they are. I know in the case of Six Cliff, it certainly is. That should have been approved, in my opinion.
Right.
I mean, I put a tremendous amount of effort into getting everything right, and then I get this response from the applicant that I felt it was, I don't wanna say dismissive, but, basically they're saying, well, this isn't what we agreed to.
Right.
Well, yeah, it is what you agreed to. And one of the reasons is because, as we discussed with them, as you remember, I must have mentioned half a dozen times, if not a dozen, about why didn't you work out the easement walked into our
Yep.
den.
Yeah.
And the answer is that we didn't wanna do it. Well, now they wanna, now they wanna play with that, and we're holding them up. I don't say we're holding them up.
There's some really tricky things with the
Yeah.
easement in terms of what ifs.
Yeah.
The devil's in the detail,
Yep.
Morgan, on some of this stuff. Being particularly easements between parties, that you say, what if this guy does this, but are we covered? Is it covered?
Right.
Trying to think long-term so that they don't have to go back to the board or run afoul or, I'm just copied. I'm copied on some of this stuff, so I see the back and forth.
Right.
But this easement's a bit tricky, so.
Let's face it too, not every resolution we do is for example, like a site plan approval or a deck or something, that is by its nature, fairly simple. We are not getting a lot of those applications lately. We're getting heavy duty, complex land use cases. And there may be people that, feel that, I'm not referring to anybody specifically, I know, for example, with that Bank of America matter, the applicant's attorney was, he didn't want to deal with issues. There were a lot of things that were in the engineer's report that I insisted that they be held to, and he said, well, no, we don't have to do that. I said, if my engineer finds it, you have to comply with it, and that's the way it is. But there's always gonna be, I mean, I'm a developer's attorney some of the time, but, some are better about things than others.
I think we're all in agreement, and I think as a whole, this board and you do a good job here. It's just that at times, things seem like we should have talked about yesterday, we're talking about tomorrow. And it helps me, and probably others on the board, I'll admit that I'm old. Your recollection is better when it's more fresh. The older it gets, the harder it is. And then we're referring to transcripts, which I read for a business, so I get it. But not everybody can go through a transcript to make sense out of it.
It's very important that the transcript be, handy.
Yeah.
I don't do anything until I get mine from Mr. Lombardozzi, and he's very quick about those things.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I'm not taking issue with what you're saying, maybe not that much, but I'm.
Well, we always have a little bit, you know that.
No, I don't, but I just don't want you to get or give the wrong impression about what's coming in or what's not coming in.
I don't have a problem with I'm not having a problem with what's coming in or going out. The sooner we get them, the easier it is for me to recall it, that's all.
Okay,
That's a personal problem.
okay. So we're going to,
Mr. Chairman, if I'd be able to address that also as the applicant's attorney, I don't mean to take any time from
I'll
anyone
give you a
else's
minute.
application.
I'll give you a minute.
Thank you. So my name is Michael Silbert. I'm from the law firm DeFrancesco Bateman, located in Warren Township. I haven't had any issues working with Mr. Gibbons. My concern was with the language of the way the condition was written, not with the condition. So I know this was a couple months ago, back in February, we agreed to not have trucks within the easement, but the language, trucks, there are different types of trucks, single unit trucks, tractor trailers. Also, what if the neighbor goes in for a site plan approval and changes the use of their property? So it was the particulars of how that easement would be written, things that aren't really discussed in a hearing setting that I was concerned about, not the restriction itself. I have agreed. Mr. Chairman, you raised the point at the last hearing, well, what if it's a contractor, he drives a commercial pickup truck, he parks it at his residency? That's in the transcript as well. So my concern was, I did not mean to present, Mr. Gibbons, to change the conditions. I remember exactly what I don't
think I agree.
it's going to be worked out, but I did drive out here. I wanted to see what was going to be said, and I don't agree that I tried to change the conditions or the applicant did. It's common after the hearing, as it is in every municipality, to work out the finer points of the resolution.
Well,
Well,
So we'll work that out.
This work, look, it's gonna get worked out.
it is gonna get fixed.
It's not straightforward, it's a complicated item, everybody's worried about what it's like, I get it. I understand where you're coming from, you guys are gonna work this out,
I agree, but
I know.
it's,
But your other professionals contacted me about it too, which is
I didn't ask them to
speak to them.
I will speak to them.
Is that clear?
It's clear. Yeah.
Everything, I'm sure it's gonna be worked out, I saw your email,
We'll get it all
you
squared
guys will
away.
get the,
We'll get it all squared away. I just wanted to.
the goal is the same,
Really was, yeah.
to cover the what ifs.
I-
Everybody wants to have the same.
I understand, and just to conclude, just so we're on the same page, my email to you to Mr. Gibbons was just let me say this. I didn't say that I had a concern with timing. I just had a concern about getting things right. So I'm not here because I had a concern that things were taking too long. Things are complicated. They do take time for certain applications. My email was only that we try to get things right and that we work to get it right. That's what my email was. So
And I think that's what we said we're gonna do.
It's all, like, it's gonna work out.
Thanks, Mr. Silver. Okay. So where are we? It's been moved and seconded that we move these resolutions to next month.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Did we do that, Jenna?
I'll move that we move the resolutions to next month.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And I'm older than Rich, I'm kidding.
I'm glad you are. Somebody's gotta be.
Yeah, but you took my job as village curmudgeon.
I do have an update on the hospital, but I'm gonna wait until after the application.
Sure, let's do that.
Any longer.
Okay, next.
Mr. Chairman, I have to recuse myself. I live next door to the applicants.
Okay. I thought so.
I did too. Catch you next month.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Oh, Morgan, we're gonna change the flags on Saturday.
Oh, good, okay. Great.
Morgan, I'll give you an email on the update on the hospital, just so you have.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, 159 Summer Street, Russell. Good evening.
Good evening.
Tell us what you want to do.
My name is Alicia Harriman, I'm here with my husband Matthew Harriman, and we would like to, we're working on a new addition to our second story. We have a dormer.
We have a dormer right now on the back, and in the process of fixing that, we would like to put on a full second story. We've lived in Somerville for,
You're gonna be giving testimony, so
She
you're
will
gonna
be,
be
yes.
sworn in.
oh,
Sure, would you please stand and raise your right hand? You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Alicia Harabin, Harabin.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
So we're looking, we live at 159 West Summit Street. We've been there since 2010. And we're looking to expand that second floor of our house, and the front porch area. And it's primarily because we have our children are growing. We are just using the downstairs right now, so we need more space for them. And the project would also sort of make our house look more like the rest of the neighborhood, like Mr. McLaughlin's lovely house next door to us. Most of the houses on the street are 2 stories. Ours is 1 from the front. And I think this would improve the look of the neighborhood. So I'm going to introduce our architect to.
You stand and raise your right hand. You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Joseph Primiano, Primiano.
Mr. Premier, I know you've been here recently, so could you just summarize your credentials again and confirm that your license is active?
That's correct. I am licensed in New Jersey, several other states. My license is active. It's in good standing, and I have testified before this board.
Okay, let's go.
So So we're here seeking a couple variances. There's some C variances, a bulk variance, and a D variance for floor area ratio. What the applicant is looking to do is take their partial second floor that they have on the house and make it a full second floor. So if you look at their house from the street, it looks like a 1.5-story Cape house. If you look at the house from the rear, it looks like a 2-story house. What that does on the upper floor is the whole front half of the house is not usable. So the applicant would like to remove the roof and expand the house towards the front so they have a full second floor. In doing so, there are some variances that come up. One variance is for the side yard setback. Side yard setback is required to be 12 feet, and that runs through the right side of the house because the house is only 4 feet from that side yard. So that requires a variance, an existing non-conforming variance. The intent with that second floor is to just go straight up. We're not expanding back, we're not expanding to the left or to the right. So that, I believe that applies to the single side yard and both side yards. The other variance that we are requesting relief from is a floor area ratio. Currently, that is at 31.59%, where 30% is the maximum, and that's going up to 40.34. And then the last variance is for improvement coverage. Currently, the coverage is at 41.12%, and that's going to 41.96%. There's a slight increase, but it is over the 40% maximum that is allowed. The reason for the slight improvement coverage is because there is a small porch on the front of the house, and as part of this second floor design, we felt that for the aesthetics of the front facade, it made sense to extend that porch to the corner of the house. If you look at our elevations that we prepared, you could see that we also kept the second floor stepped back from the front facade, again, to just soften that look. And that roof on the first floor goes all the way across. So we added about, I think it's about 50 square feet that got added for the porch. The intent here is just to add some more space for the family, for the applicant. Currently, there's 2 bedrooms on the first floor. There's 2 bedrooms on the second floor. The applicant is going to remain at 4 bedrooms. We show one of those rooms, we labeled it as just a large playroom, but it could be used as a bedroom. There are closets in there. It'll have egress windows. So it doesn't matter really what you call it. We're going to stay at an existing 4-bedroom house, and we're going to keep a 4-bedroom house. The intent of the construction is also to modernize the house. They have a masonry house. It's got very thick walls. It's the only masonry house in that area. All the other houses have vinyl siding. They have clapboard siding. So the applicant, as part of this addition, is also going to put siding over that masonry look and make the house more in line with what is in the rest of the neighborhood. They're going to go through and change out windows, add new siding, add the porch again. So not only is it a second floor addition, but it's also to improve the character of the neighborhood. Going into some of the positives and negatives, we kind of looked at how can we improve the positives and how can we reduce any kind of negatives. Obviously the positives we talked about is stepping that facade down and making the house look like it belongs in that neighborhood. From a negative, I would say that you have a taller structure now, right? You have a 2-story structure where currently you only have about a 1.5-story structure. So of course there's always going to be some kind of negative, but we feel that it's very minor in nature because if you look at the way that property is orientated, it's a very narrow lot, which is of course what's causing some of these setback issues. The house Most of the backyard is facing south. The sides that are the tightest that would have any kind of light issues are on the east and the west. When your sun is high in the south in most of the day, you're still going to get plenty of daylight that comes down into those side yards. This particular property has a driveway on both sides. So on the left, they have a shared driveway. The shared driveway has been like that, I'm going to say probably 60, 70 years since these houses were built. The neighbor on the left, I believe the family's been there for probably about 40 or 50 years. There's just been, a verbal agreement that, hey, our driveway, we share the driveway. It splits in the back. They have their garage. The applicants have their own garage, and everything's been working for those past 50 years. The applicant's been in this property for about 13 years. Again, everything that needs to happen with the driveway, the parking, the maintenance, there's been no issues, nor do we anticipate any of that, nor is there any change to any of that. Touching upon the D variance, again, we're asking for a floor area ratio variance, a D4 variance. So typically, we would want to show that this site is suited to adequately handle that additional area. I did some studies and looked at the RSIS for New Jersey, and this 4-bedroom house would require a 3 off-site parking spaces. That's currently what the property has. There's 2 parking spaces in the rear driveway, and then there's a parking space in the existing garage. So again, there's no increase or decrease to the number of bedrooms. The parking requirements that are required are satisfied, and there will be no increase to those bedrooms. So I feel that even though this is an increase in area, the site is well adequate to handle the additional square footage. I know there were some questions about air conditioning and the condenser. Certainly there's with this increased volume, we're going to add a new HVAC system up in the attic space, in the new attic space. The new condenser would be placed in the rear yard next to the existing condenser. On our site plan, you could see where the existing one is drawn. We'd simply be a few feet over from the existing condenser. Nothing's close to the side yard, no issues with setbacks on that. Attic would be unusable space. It would probably have a hatch or a pull-down stair, but it's not intended to be any kind of livable or habitable space. There'd be collar ties that are going across for the framing that would limit any kind of ceiling height. I can thumb through if there was any other issues.
Joe, the basement, what's going on with the basement?
So the basement height is 7'6", is currently unfinished. Just some storage down there, utility, mechanical spaces. That's all that's intended to stay there. We talked about the windows. The applicant is going to increase the. They're going to change the windows out as part.
So the replacement windows are going to replace with this addition, so all the windows will be the same style and fresh?
Absolutely.
So to speak.
Yes. Yes.
And the roof's going to match, or is the whole roof going to be done? I know that you have the.
A whole new roof. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because all that would be left would be maybe the little roof over the porch,
Right.
but that's it. The existing roof's coming off. The right side currently has a little gable, so that's going to come off to become a shed roof, which will go across the porch. So everything will pretty much look like a new house when they're done.
And the proposed height complies with the zone?
Yes.
On a hill anyway, so.
Right.
Yeah, and I think there was a comment about shade tree.
Street tree is down one, you have utilities. Should the board want a shade tree, it'd have to be a low canopy because of the utility poles.
Yeah.
Somebody might run into it.
So if
Anyone have any questions?
Guys have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, one, I hesitate to bring this up, but you talked about the agreement you have with your neighbor on the shared driveway. What exactly does that amount to? You said there was no agreement, or?
There's no formal agreement, but we both use the driveway. We have agreed verbally that if there's damage to the driveway or anything during construction, then we'll take care of that, but.
Okay. I mean, the only thing I can, I mean, this is, as I say, it's a private right issue, but I guess I can recommend, and I do recommend that you do enter into some kind of an agreement with your neighbor, because it can become a problem down the line, and there's always questions by both sides as to what are their rights and what are their rights not. So just a thought. I don't know that you have to do it, but you should consider it.
I just had mentioned best efforts, because obviously it takes two parties to agree, so the other side, if you can't reach agreement, you can't. So my opinion is just best efforts.
One of the reasons we always recommend that is that they move out, the next person might be like, what is this, I'm sharing a driveway?
Yep, exactly.
So when you get that cross-access easement put in place, it's never a problem.
It's the snow and
It's better
the
for you.
maintenance becomes an issue sometimes. Who's maintaining, who's gonna pave it, whose fair share?
What kind of vehicles can use it? Things like that. It's amazing.
Fortunately, back in the day when they did this, there weren't these kinds of problems.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, in the old days, it was horse and carriage.
In the old days, a neighbor was a neighbor.
No trucks.
And obviously your neighbor's not in front of the board, so you only got one side of the driveway here, so that's why I say best efforts. It's,
Yeah, it's the neighbor on the other side who we share with.
Okay.
So.
And that neighbor's currently owned by an estate, so.
I understand, yeah.
Anybody else on the board have any questions of Mr. Siliano, Mr. Periano?
No, I think I had a comment in there, put some notes on the plans about the sidewalks get cracked or destroyed to replace the sidewalks during construction.
That's fine.
Usually what we do is, we make compliance with Mr. Cole's report a condition of approval. I presume that will not be a problem.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody from the audience have any questions of the testimony just given by Mr. Periano?
Addition looks nice,
Thank you.
in my opinion.
Keeping aesthetics.
Anybody else gonna testify?
No.
Want to start? Mr. Mahesh?
I think he did.
Sounds
Did you have anything else you want to tell us?
Second floor addition over the existing footprint.
all right.
Thank you.
Someone like to move to close the public portion?
I'll move it.
Second.
Move second, someone like to move the application?
I'll move it.
Second.
Move the second, what do we have, Cliff?
Compliance with the Cole report is pretty much it. That's it.
Okay. Someone like to move, let's go move second.
I'll move it.
Roll call, please.
Chairman Dare,
Yes.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Carpenets,
Yes.
Mr. O'Neill,
Yes.
Mr. Vidimski,
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez,
Yes.
Mr. Daniels.
Yes.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I know, right?
Mr. Premiere, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Very good job.
Just to give the board an update, the board has 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I met with the hospital today on the screening. And Post Street, match what's there, but they need 4 columns to put down support. The columns are 12 inches, so technically they're gonna sit off the building. I don't have a problem with it, they're gonna paint them, just make sure the board knows this. And then the screening on the cancer side, there's a parking lot that the surgeons, there's a HVAC unit there, that it's off a grant, that they say that it's gonna be replaced in 5 or 10 years, and they're willing to paint it now, to blend it in, and then they'll revisit this when the new unit goes up in terms of screening and setback, but the unit's nearing the end of its lifespan, lifestyle, okay. So, I didn't have a problem with that, but I said I would, just to give the board an update on where they are with the screening. That's just an update, and unless the board has any concerns with painting the one that faces the cancer center, and
Been here 100 years.
It's been there forever, it's supposed to be replaced, but it's a little, hit with an ugly stick, but they're gonna paint it, get rid of the rust, just to make, try to blend in, but it's a short termer, it's not gonna be there more than 5 or 10 years. And then they're gonna provide an email through the Reynolds Group saying that when they replace it, they will revisit screening it, because it might be a much smaller unit, because of efficiency, and, we'll address, if the board agrees with this, screening that in terms of lattice or whatever at that juncture. Right now, they're proposing painting. I find to be really reasonable because the unit's really old.
It's not exactly a scenic neighborhood anyway.
I'm just giving you
It's
an
an alley.
update what happened today, because if you know the resolution, it talks about best efforts for the screening
Yeah.
from that unit
Right.
and the aesthetics. And we just had a meeting today on it, and they wanna make sure the board knows there's gonna be 4 columns up against the foundation on, Post Street, that to support it, because they can't support it from the roof without coming up with some crazy box. And they're gonna paint the match in, so it wasn't on the plan showing the 4 columns, 3 columns to support the screening. I'm fine with it, just making sure the board's aware of all this. Since you guys approved it all,
Sounds like common sense to me.
I told the hospital, Reynolds, Jeff Reynolds, that I would give the board an update to make sure you guys are all good with what's going on, and that's your update.
I'm having some meetings with the mayor, and, on January 1st, he gave the planning board their marching orders that they're going to be revisiting the master plan and the zoning, ordinance. And there's several things that I'd like to see changed in the zoning ordinance. And as we took the lead in the POR redesign, and revision, I'd like us to have a lot of input on those, the master plan and the zoning. So, could we meet, or, let's see, it's May, July or August? Could you guys, put down some things that you may wanna see changed, or something that might be bothering you? I've got about 5 things that I would like, to be addressed in the master plan and the zoning ordinance, and.
That, Mr. Chairman, or have a joint meeting again.
Yeah.
We've had a joint meeting a couple of years ago.
That
It
might be very
It might be
productive.
beneficial to have a
That
joint.
might be very productive.
Yeah, there's certain things I think we're all trouble with. Like the floor area ratio, I don't think belongs in Somerville. I think it belongs in Branchburg or Reddington.
Yeah, we'd be one of, the only one of 565 municipalities that doesn't have it.
That doesn't mean it's wrong.
Okay, something to discuss.
Yeah, subject to discussion.
Yeah, and like for me, it's Davenport Street. All those lots, they're narrow, they're too small.
And they all fall under the FAR.
They have to, because where my church is, you have 3 houses, instead of having 150-foot frontage for all 3, you've got less than 98 feet for 3. And as you
Yeah.
go all the way down, because that was part of Joshua Dowdy's
Yeah.
lottery field.
Yep.
As they used to call it, the first urban renewal project in America. And that and Second Street still being a business, or, a business zone when it should be
Yeah.
residential.
Yep.
So these are things I personally wanna see, and I know each one of you have it, so we can write them down and we can have a joint meeting with the planning board.
I think that's probably a good idea, but maybe we should write it down before the meeting.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And submit it to you,
Yeah.
you know, so that,
Well, I can bring up the next planning board to see if they're receptive to having a joint meeting. Obviously, it takes 2 to both parties to say
Yeah.
yes.
yeah.
I'll ask my wife.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't wanna walk into a meeting cold. I'd rather we
Right,
submit
exactly,
questions and really
yeah.
get something done, rather
Maybe
than sit there.
We could take a look at what we come up with and talk about it, and then have our joint meeting with the planning board.
Yeah.
But these are the things that Brian has given the planning board their marching orders, and I think we should be a part of it.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it's zoning ordinance, zoning board of adjustment. Okay, let's see, there's gonna be a parade. Memorial Day starts at 8:15 on Culver Street. It should be on Main Street around 9 o'clock, and it's going to the cemetery. We plan on having the speakers at 10 o'clock. They gave us back our old route, so we're going up High Street, we're going down to Dowdy, stopping by to see you, Rich, at the museum.
I've been told to open.
And then we'll be going down to, down Main Street to Bridge. And like I said, we have 3,000 new people over a year, and
Are they gonna know about it?
yeah, we're gonna make sure that they know about it. And I talked with, Roy Gunzelman the other day, he gave me one of the names of what I had asked you for, but I'll call Pat Weston tomorrow.
Okay,
Okay, would someone like to move for adjournment? Somebody to,
I'll move.
second, all in favor?